available on every DSTV bouquet. So, and you'll see the message in the corner of the slide that, you know, SuperSport Schools has 47 sporting codes streamed, which is more than the Olympics offers. So it's something that we're very proud of, and we've been very proud to enter into a partnership with the SABC on SuperSport Schools. So you would have seen the media announcements that SABC Sports has launched a fully curated SuperSport Schools channel on SABC+. So this channel went live about a week ago, and it's really ensuring access by the users of SABC+ to high-quality schools and youth sport, which is available on the SuperSport Schools app. So SABC curates that channel, packages that channel, and we really think that this is a milestone in the broadcasting of youth sports. It obviously gives the SABC access to many thousands of matches, etc., across a wide range of disciplines. And we think it really supports one of the SABC's values, which is around community engagement and fostering a deeper connection between schools and their surrounding communities. And I think from MultiChoice's point of view, it's really an opportunity to, you know, we at MultiChoice, I think with the board and the relatively still new CEO, we've really tried to reset the relationship with the SABC, and this is one of the projects that we've worked on. I think there are some others still in the background, but we really are committed to doing our part to try foster a partnership between broadcasters that works for both parties. So that's it on my bit. I'll just hand over to Wellington.
Thank you, Chair, I think that's the end of our presentation. I think we've stuck to the 10 to 15 minutes. Just to reiterate our appreciation of the opportunity to engage with the committee. But more importantly, Chair, I think, as Lara has said, as an organization, between us and the SABC, we have gotten to a stage where the relationship has been reset, and we're looking for more and more partnerships that we can execute together. And from our side, we remain committed, Chair, to doing our bit to elevate the broadcasting sector. Our investment in local content, our investment in sports broadcasting, our support for independent producers remains unwavering. Despite the challenges that we face and the headwinds that we face, that commitment remains. Thank you, Chair, for your attention.
There we go. This is it's just open. Okay, there we go. Unfortunately, this is how it is. So you're just gonna. This is the one. Yes.
Good afternoon, Chair of the Portfolio Committee, Chairperson of the SABC Board, Portfolio Committee members, board members, my colleagues, and greetings. It feels a little bit awkward for me to stand here after a couple of years after being in the hot seat. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to present to the Portfolio Committee and the board of the SABC and the SABC community. What's important for us from Primedia perspective, those that don't know me, Bongimusa Makatini is my name. I work for Primedia as CEO of Out of Home and Primedia Studios. I was part of the SABC at some point in my life. What is important for us is understanding what role can we play as media players to support the public broadcaster. Because an SABC that works and an SABC that's got what it needs to be successful is very important for the industry at large. So compelling content, the chair spoke about the importance of compelling content. That becomes the currency of your ability to attract advertisers and generate revenues. So what I want to take you through at a high level really is what's been our intervention in terms of the content that we've provided as Primedia at no cash cost from the SABC side from a production point of view. The number of the audiences that we've been able to deliver from that and the conversion from the audience numbers to real revenue and the incremental value that we see emanating from that investment. So I would have loved to start with a video, but I'm not sure whether the video can play. I doubt it. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. Some of you may have seen some of the content and the shows that we've put on screen in collaboration with the SABC. It is a collaboration. We don't call it a partnership. But the slide in front of you just gives you a sense of some of the shows that we've put in place, what's been the performance in terms of improving the audience numbers. So if you look at Deal or No Deal, we've seen a 45% improvement. This is you comparing where were the numbers before the show and after the show. And Wheel of Fortune, we're looking at about 86%, 45%, and 25% for the Masked Singer. This is just what we've been able to do in the past year or so. And it's just a test for us to say, if we're to provide more of this kind of content, what could be the impact in terms of the audience numbers and what could be the impact in terms of the sustainability of the SABC from a revenue point of view. So that kind of content that we've been able to collaborate on has been able to help us create about 1,528 TVRs in 1 year. And you can imagine if then you are able to do this over a prolonged period of time with better systems and better alignment, how much more value you can be able to create. Because from the TVRs, you are then able to generate the actual, what I call value or airtime that you can go sell. So if you look at the high level, undiscounted, you look at about 78 million a month. And if you multiply that by 12, you're really close to $1 billion. Of course, this is undiscounted. Of course, we use different parameters to discount and we package things in a different way. But why it's important for us to show you this slide is to give you a sense of the potential that sits with having a compelling content packaged correctly, scheduled correctly, and what you can get from that kind of a content. Of course, there is a view that Primedia and SABC are competitors, but being competitors does not mean you can collaborate. We don't have a TV channel. What we wanted to do was play a part in content creation and a particular content that may be attractive to the audiences of the SABC. But the difference that you have, if you look at even our radio station, the kind of clients that we have may not be exactly the same as clients that SABC have. So in collaborating, there is a benefit for SABC to be exposed to the clients that spend with us. And in that way, SABC start to then to benefit from those kind of relationships. Some of the clients saw the potential of being in SABC platform as a result of the sponsorship that they provided. And that has given an uplift in the SABC revenue, directly emanating from those clients that were not in the books of the SABC. And this is where, when you look at collaboration with a different eye, saying, what is the problem? What are you trying to solve for? Not be political, not be emotional about it, and say, we're running a business. And when you run a business, there's certain things that are very important. Do I have a product? Who can contribute in helping me build a product that is compelling? Primedia has been able to play that role, and I'm sure other media owners play a different role. So that's the role we've played. And in that role, in a short space of time, we've seen some tangible results that are sustainable and that can make all of us successful. The other thing that we've done as Primedia is to take some of other assets that we have, whether you're talking outdoor, you're talking radio. We also run a number of malls in South Africa. So we are in the mall space, we're in store, we're in outdoor, and the rest of Africa. So some part of Africa, so to speak. So when we take those assets that we have elsewhere and use them to promote and pump and position this content, it makes a difference. And when you look at what we've invested just to promote this kind of product, we've invested over 80 million rands as Primedia. And that is part of our contribution to make sure that what we've produced is promoted, is positioned well, and it sells. So in essence, that's basically been our role and our contribution to what SABC is trying to do and what role we feel and we believe as Primedia we can play. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me thank you so much for your presentations. As you leave, I'm tempted to say, you see, the problem we face is all our people are now sitting on the other side. So, but thank you very much for your presentations, and I think always responding to the call when we make it. We did say right at the onset that ours was about fostering these types of partnerships. So I want to invite the committee back onto the stage and to thank you so much. We'll afford them an opportunity to ask one or two questions. Mr. Wellington, you were very careful, ne? And you were at pains to explain to us that this is what you were asked to speak about. Before you go, do you want to speak about what you were not asked to speak about, because you know you will be asked? I can give you the platform. Or you can, then it's okay, we will raise it from the floor. Thank you very much. Honorable members, please may I invite you for you to engage with the presentations. And for the purpose of staff who have just joined us, you are all welcomed. My name is Kusela Digo, I'm the chairperson of the committee. Coming up now are members of the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies. We are just wrapping up the last part of our initial session of the engagement. I would, with their permission, introduce the members to you. I think we have since lost 2 members who did give me an apology. So I know I've got 1 member. An apology from Honorable Matafa, who had to go and join the Justice Portfolio Committee. Starting from my immediate left is Honorable Elishe Elishe. I always call it also, I forget, Honorable Elishe. Next to him is Honorable Imran Subrathi. Next to her, next to him is Honorable Sibongiseni Vilagazi. Next to him is Honorable Tsulufelo Bodlani. Next to her is Honorable Vusi Shongwe. Next to him is Honorable Ketamabala Sitole. Next to him is Honorable Colleen Makubele. And then at the end, last but not least, the Honorable Ashley Souls. So in the next few minutes, they will also be just engaging with the staff. I wanted to ask honorable members if we could just close off on the engagement with Primedia and MultiChoice. Shall I start that side this time? Honorable Souls.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you for the presentations. I am particularly encouraged by the posture of Primedia in terms of their emphasis on what they have done and how they have done it to support the SABC. And we know that in the sector, SABC is viewed as a competitor to Primedia, to MultiChoice and others. But obviously, based on what we've heard today, in terms of the policy framework, it is not necessarily the case, because in terms of policy, they are restricted and regulated in a different way than what the other competitors in the sector is. So therefore, you can then appreciate why it was so interesting to me that Primedia is sensitive to that element and sees their approach to business as supporting the growth and the revenue increase of the SABC. With that backdrop, my question to MultiChoice is, do you have the same posture? And if so, in terms of value, what have you contributed back to the SABC? If you do consider them a competitor, which you are rightfully supposed to do, but of course, as I just explained, in terms of policy, technically it's not necessarily like business-to-business competition, but as you consider SABC a business and your competitor, my second question is, would you, like in the normal corporate setting, be very happy if your competitor in the person of SABC fails? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me echo the words of my colleague, Honorable Source, to say thank you for the presentations. And I'll start with the Primedia presentation. I love numbers. I was very refreshed to see the level of detail that you went to demonstrate the value of the collaboration that you have with the public broadcaster. And I do believe there is value that SABC is also deriving from this partnership, but unfortunately we're not able to see that value in monetary terms. And I would be interested to understand what SABC makes out of this partnership. Because one of the things that we wouldn't want to see is at the back of the public broadcaster, we only empower the private sector while the SABC is struggling to be sustainable. So I need to understand what value does SABC, in their own words and the numbers that they make, compared to what Primedia seems to be enjoying as revenue and the value, the collaboration, the growth, which we applaud. We need that. I think second to that is just interesting that Primedia will then skim the cream and take you instead of leaving you here to push this SABC and not steal our talent, when they see that there is a collaboration. But nonetheless, we celebrate what you're doing, and we're very impressed with the presentation. So if we can get those values and understanding, if this partnership truly is beneficial to SABC, at what level, at what value, and where can it be improved from the perspective of SABC? MultiChoice, in our introduction, there was thank you also for the presentation. Good, thank you so much. Of course, there was not much detail, but it's just to understand, there was a concern that was raised that you pay all other broadcasters except for SABC, and would like to understand why is that the case, also in your own terms, monetary value that you derive from the SABC partnership or the collaboration, and if there are areas of improvement from SABC, where would those areas be, and how can SABC also derive financial value and growth out of this collaboration in comparison to what you might be enjoying as private sector? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and we appreciate the presentation from both the MultiChoice and the media. But there's only one thing that, Honorable Chairperson, I'd like to get understanding of it: the issue of working together between the MultiChoice and the SABC. I know that they are in a competition, but for the benefit of our community, for the benefit of of youth who are at schools, who are in our locations and in township and in rural areas. Is there any means that they can work together for the upliftment and the promotion and development of our youth in schools? Because I'm worried about the issue of schools, because if you don't take care of our youngster in schools or our children in schools, actually it won't help us as a country to be developed. If that one can be actually looked at. And the other one, Honorable Chairperson, that I'm trying to check is the issue of adopting, because the multi-choice says they are working with schools. Is any program that they do have to adopt the schools, especially in rural areas? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I might be not much diplomatic on the question I want to ask. I apologize in advance, Chair. Thank you for the prompt presentation on both companies. There is an outcry in the community of Northwest and Free State. This is a question to multi-choice. They are not represented, the Botswana people are not represented, and the Basotho people in Free State in local TV. In my understanding, last year, January, 2 channels were switched off by multi-choice regarding the license issue from ICASA. Now, I want clarity on this thing, Uti. Some of the channels that have been there for years in multi-choice, local, some don't have local license from ICASA, and how are they there and the others removed? I just need clarity on that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'll be very brief. I think just a great appreciation for MultiChoice and Primedia appearing to the Portfolio Committee. At least they also get a sense that there is a great appreciation of the work that they do, and for the committee to also understand how they feature in the landscape. So mine would be, Chairperson, if with your indulgence, is taking back the question I asked earlier about how we have heard the SABC saying there should be some repatriation by DSTV on the materials that MultiChoice has used that is coming from DSTV. I asked the question earlier, but unfortunately we ran out of time with the SABC during that session. What is your view on that? Is that a discussion that is happening? Is that a consideration? What is the update? Yes. Oh, I said it the other way around. The lady was nodding. I think she got me. So the SABC content, which was used by MultiChoice. Is there a plan by MultiChoice, in good faith, for argument's sake, to give something to the SABC, to plow back to the SABC based on the productions that you have used that would have been, I suppose, owned by the SABC, produced by the SABC? Hope I'm making sense.
Thank you, Chair. Just thank you to the organizations for the presentations. I don't really have deep questions. The presentations were short. I'm looking forward to going into them and just looking at them further. I do believe that it's good that these entities will partner with the SABC, especially under these circumstances that we were talking about in regard to the SABC's situation. But as the Honorable Makubela was saying, I was just thinking to myself that there's no such thing as a free lunch. So it's important that in as much as we see that the SABC is benefiting, to what extent or to what extent actually is it benefiting? And is it not losing its audience? Because I noticed that there's an impression that these two commercial entities are just going out of their way to assist. But obviously that can't be true. They wouldn't be doing it if they were not benefiting in any way. They themselves are getting exposed to this huge audience that the SABC represents or brings to the table. Nevertheless, I think the idea of collaboration or partnership is still a good one, and one that hopefully at some point, maybe Chair, in a more specific way, we can interrogate as the committee. But thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me appreciate the Primedia team and multi-choice team for really being very succinct and precise in their presentations to afford us more time to spend and engage with the staff. I want to appreciate their having to cut down significant amount of their presentations, which were very, very colorful, and we look forward to going through those presentations. Chairperson, let me also appreciate what I seen here is really a sense of Ubuntu and a selfless relationship between what is seemingly competitors working together to assist SABC fulfill its public mandate and really trying to draw from their skills. And as my colleagues have pointed out, there's no free lunch, but I'd like to focus on the positive exposure that SABC gets riding on the back of these other Primedia and multi-choice. Maybe my two questions would be, given the fact that we have a very young South African viewership, a very youthful viewership, maybe my question would be to SABC is, and maybe then also to multi-choice and to Primedia, is that how can we support SABC to produce content and sharpen content that will really speak to contemporary issues facing our youth, with the intention that it strengthens the public broadcaster and fulfills this public mandate. And the second question probably would be just to piggyback on the fact that one of the USPs, the unique selling propositions of SABC, is that it offers programs in multilingual, in many languages. Maybe I would ask, what are the learnings out of this partnership that we can enhance this unique offering of multilingual programming? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think you were trying to set me up, having me speak to prevent what was happening in the last session. But Chair, I have only maybe 3 questions. And I think the first one, it would just be to try and understand from multi-choice, why is it that SABC is not allowed to broadcast the cricket and rugby games? I think I just need clarity on that. And the other one, I just want maybe to understand what is the percentage quota of advertising for multi-choice. And maybe you can help us by telling us who is monitoring this. I ask this because then if you are not sticking to the percentage that you're supposed to stick to, the one that is permissible, that would mean that you are eating on other people, on other kids' food, which is the SABC in this case. So I just need to understand that. And maybe, Chair, the last one, I want to understand, why is it that you're not paying the SABC for their content and having them on their platform? I think paying them will not be in good faith, colleague. It's a reasonable thing to do. You're supposed to pay them. You're having them on your platforms, and you are using their content. And the thing is that with what we were talking about earlier on, which is like you've got your subscribers, right, paying for subscription, and they're not paying for the license, because then you have the SABC platforms, and they would say that they are paying the subscription fee. So how are you maybe working that around to compensate the SABC for the money that you're getting for having them on their platform, or I mean, for having them on your platform and the content that you're using. That's all from me, Chairperson. Questions have been asked, but I think there are some which we cannot. Honorable Alicia speaks about in terms of the sporting rights. Now, what I want to know, and this is how I want to phrase the question while I mansplain what she was saying. It's for emphasis. We're told about sub-licensing here, and it doesn't go really much into detail. But I want to understand, what is the problem with cooperation between MultiChoice and SABC? Of people cannot afford DSTV, and you are bleeding numbers right now on sporting rights, because obviously you have the financial muscle to do so. What is wrong with cooperating, jointly bidding for those sporting rights, so that all of the people of South Africa can enjoy that without having to go into your platform? But also, we were hearing here that the top 3 shows in the country, being Uzalo, Skimsam, and Generations, those are SABC shows. So whether you say the regulations insist that you must carry SABC, they bring in the numbers. So SABC is not what Honorable I think so Brathi was saying. It's not a free lunch. It's not getting a free lunch from MultiChoice. They bring in the numbers. And we are told here, please do correct us if we're wrong, not paying carriage fees to SABC.
May I please ask Primedia, Ms. Tolwane, I'm not seeing you anymore.
Thank you. Let me start. Firstly, I just want to clarify that Prime is not.
Sorry, sir, won't you please stand for the cameras?
Stand.
Yeah, we're back in an open session.
Maybe I want to clarify maybe the first point around Primedia. Primedia is not a competitor to SABC because we're not a licensed TV station. So we're not a competitor. So the other important thing that I wanted to make money as Primedia when SABC makes money. So there is no way that Primedia can make money when SABC is not making money. What Primedia has done, we've provided content that we believe is SABC is then able to monetize that content. Then SABC makes money and we all make money. But what we have done is a contribution up front as Primedia. We've sorted the production cost of that content. So that did not cost SABC anything up front because Primedia made means and plans to get that funded. So what then needs to happen is then for the SABC then to sell those ratings that we've created. Then from there, then we'll be able to make money. So there is no way that we can make money and SABC is not. I hope I've covered all the questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with some of the questions and I'll let my colleagues deal with the rest that I don't deal with. I think perhaps to start off with the first question, our posture towards SABC and what have we contributed back to the SABC in terms of value. I think, Chair, we were quite deliberate in our slides to outline some of the commercial partnerships that we have entered into with the SABC. And those are subject to the commercially negotiated terms that we have agreed with the SABC. We didn't put up the numbers there. If we were to take an example about, perhaps I think there was something about the channels. We didn't put any of the numbers up there because of the sensitivities around it. But I'm sure in your closed sessions with the SABC, then attest to some of the partnerships that we have and the value that perhaps they get from those partnerships. I think the second question, Chair, I would like to deal with is around mass carry. The question is, why are we not paying the SABC for the channels that we carry? Chair, I think the regulations must carry, and that carriage is then subject to commercially negotiated terms. We have, in good faith, engaged in negotiations with the SABC, and unfortunately we haven't found each other. One obviously appreciates that those negotiations were led by the management or executive team that is not here at the moment, by the predecessors. And I think we still, in line with the regulations, are open to having, in good faith, commercial negotiation to comply with the regulations.
Up to you. Can you just give us a sense when this? I'm trying to get the amount of time you have not been finding one another. Over what period are we talking?
I think since the regulations came in force with the terms that they are framed in. So negotiation, it's been a long-standing, there's been long-standing attempts and efforts to find each other.
Sorry, give us a year maybe, like some members of the committee I knew, so we just want to understand, since when?
I think probably since 2022, I think. I think that there was a question around sports rights. Can we cooperate? Why are we outbidding the SABC on sports rights? I think, Chair, and I think my colleagues will probably provide a bit more color to it. So the sports rights are owned by the rights owners, the sports bodies, whether it's CEL or SAFA. And generally when they release these rights or when they invite bids for these rights, they can do it in one of two ways. The one way is to say, we're gonna sell subscription rights on their own, we're gonna broadcasting services rights on their own, or the alternative is they can combine them. So in instances where the rights are sold as a composite package that includes both pay TV and perhaps public broadcasting, I think that's probably where you would have the competition. But there are instances where they are sold separately, and there is nothing that prevents the SABC from acquiring those rights. Where we acquire the composite rights, we then enter into sub-licensing arrangement to enable the SABC to also query those games. And there is also the regulations that compel us for certain specific spot of public interest that we need to then make those available to a public broadcaster. I'm going to allow Eno and Lara to just perhaps close the loop on the rest of the question.
Maybe just one thing, there was a thing, are we really competitors? And the answer is yes, we are really competitors. It is with everybody who competes for eyeballs. So, you know, we're competitors with the SABC, we're competitors with eMedia, but we're also competitors with social media, cinema, anything that competes for the time, the viewing of the audience, we are in competition. Bearing in mind, of course, that the SABC does carry a public mandate, and that's been acknowledged. So does the commercial free-to-air, and to a lesser extent, subscription broadcasting. So those are the three tiers of licensing. And I suppose that speaks to the key question that was also asked is, you know, would one want to see the other broadcasters? And the answer would be absolutely not. So if the SABC failed, there would be a cascade down to commercial free-to-airs, subscription broadcasters of many of the public mandate aspects that the SABC has to carry. So obviously there is a value to the SABC, to the public at large, in terms of the public mandate programming that they do, that is not necessarily at the same level done by other broadcasters, whether they be on radio or television. There was a question around youth and sports and are we doing anything with schools? We have got a number of programs. I won't go into detail because I'm aware that the staff are waiting to see you. We can send you our social report. It goes into detail about our Let's Play initiatives. We have DSTV labs at schools. So we've got a number of initiatives that are looking at schools over and above post schools, looking at youth in terms of development programs to assist them in developing the skills necessary to work as talent. There was an aspect about, I think, maybe just to touch base quickly on one of the must-carry elements, is that, must-carry is an obligation that's imposed on subscription broadcasters. It is imposed in the basis that you have to carry the SABC channels that are identified in regulations by ICASA, and for multi-choice, because of the number of channels we have, it's practically everything that is broadcast by the SABC to the public is a must-carry channel. So if it's broadcast over the air in analog or DTT, it becomes a must-carry channel, and we would have to request the SABC in terms of the regulations to carry those channels. The SABC is under there's been an argument whether that must-carry obligation extends to the public broadcaster, because channels we have requested, which are must-carry channels, they haven't been provided to us, and we can also understand why that is. So the other element of that is the value. One of the aspects is, and I think maybe just to touch on it, because I think the chair asked about it, is since 2022 we have not attained a new agreement. That doesn't mean there is no agreement in place. The regulations provide that the previous agreement remains in place until such time as the SABC decides they don't want it to remain in place, or until the next negotiations are concluded. And in terms of that agreement, we pay all the signal distribution fees. So that works out about 45 million per year for the signal distribution costs of the SABC on our platform, and they retain all the advertising revenue that they obtain from selling DSTV subscribers' numbers to their advertisers. So I think there's definitely a value that comes out of the relationship of having their content on our platform in terms of the ability the SABC to access the subscribers, which otherwise they would not have access to. Parliament initially put that provision in law was to ensure that the SABC had access to all South Africans.
Chair, I'll be very brief because I'm sure you want to wrap up. I mean, maybe just to must-carry question. You know, the origins around a must-carry rule they originate in, I think, in Europe, and the driving force that your public broadcasters would get shut out of pay TV systems, so that people would take up a pay TV subscription, and while they could still get the public broadcaster channels over the air, putting over their TV aerial, they wouldn't bother to. That was the fear. So a rule's put in place to say we don't want our public broadcasters to be shut out of pay TV systems. So we're going to require pay TV to make arrangements to carry these channels. The channels do not become the subscription broadcasters' channels. They are their channels, their viewers, their advertising revenue. That is the value that they gain from being carried on the system. The value that our subscribers get is being able to access those channels. But our subscribers are, hard-pressed consumers. They don't want to pay for channels that they are entitled to get for free, and that they do get for free on other platforms. So I think that is all I have to say on must-carry. On a few of the others, the quotas quotas on advertising. I believe we're absolutely compliant with all the advertising regulations. I don't think, I would be horrified working within the regulation, reading any of those, but I don't think that is the case. On the TV license collection issue, you know, we historically have put quite a lot of work into thinking about how could we improve the way TV licenses are collected. And I'm sure, Chair, you will recall when we presented to you on the SABC bill, and we've done etc. And our solution would be to get SARS to collect. But I would say almost mystified by the proposal that somehow we can help in this situation. You know, we collect subscriptions from pay TV audiences of about 7.6 million, Chair, as you said. You know, the SABC has a much bigger database of TV households who are not, for whatever reason, economic circumstances or dissatisfaction, I don't know, but are not paying their TV license. We are not understanding why we would be a better collector of that TV license. So I think all the colleagues that have seen our presentations on this would know that we have really seriously engaged with how to solve this problem. We are open to this conversation, but we do feel that this is a bit of a non-starter, us collecting the TV license fee. Just as a last comment, the Honourable Member spoke about the strengths of the SABC in multilingual programming and in, you know, appealing to the youth. And I think, you know, I'm a former SABCer myself, and I think the question was asked in terms of, you know, is it that we could teach the SABC, but I think absolutely that is an area where the SABC leads the industry. In local content, in multilingual productions. They're incredibly strong, and yeah, we're very supportive of what they're doing in that area.
Thank you very much, Lara, Wellington, Enon. If you must, one quick follow-up. So, Honourable, no? Please pass it down.
Thank you, Chair. I was just saying they didn't answer my
Which one are you referring to in particular?
No, both. I mean, because Primedia had the posture of, though they are competitors, they have a posture of how do they contribute to the SABC. But then burst my bubble and said, no, we are not competitors. And So it's almost like we're just doing what we're doing. All that stuff that I saw of the market value is like, no, we're just doing that because we need the SABC just as much as they need us. I thought it was an intentional posture to say that even though we're competing, and I still believe that there's a level of competition in terms of that you reach. It's both you and the SABC, you're competing for that market and so on. But of course, I should take your word for it. So I take back my compliment to you. You are very evil. You are very, very evil. You're just doing it because you want to support yourself. But to multi-choice, the only reason why I asked that question was a way to get around to understand exactly what the posture is. I was just merely trying to test the posture. Answer the question of when your response was that you view the SABC like you view anybody else. They are competition like everybody else. That's what I wanted to get to. And would you want them to fail? That question was not to sort of prick, to say you want them to fail, but it was more to say, what is your posture? You would only not want them to fail because if they fail, you then carry the burden of free and all that kind of stuff that you just spoke about. And so I was trying to get to that, to say that maybe the posture should be, yes, there is competition, but there should be some element of saying this is a public entity. As citizens of this country, you have some sort of responsibility to help them along. They also have responsibility, and we are not denying that, but I'm just asking for a posture of don't treat them like Netflix. Treat them like we have a responsibility. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. I don't think that we've exhausted these issues, and I welcome Lara saying that we must continue the conversation. I do want to close with the view that we are going to engage specifically, I think, with multi-choice on these issues further. I'm trying to find the chairperson of ICASA because I would want him to have the last word. I want to know if they've been negotiating for 3 years and cannot find one another. Whose responsibility? Otherwise, this is going to be another broadcasting act. We sit here waiting for it to be amended for 10 years.
Thank you, Chair. Currently, if the deadlock it's not managed, we do have a CCC within the authority. I think that's the structure that they should think of engaging. Unfortunately, as ICASA now, I cannot intervene because of the commercial nature. So those are my limitations for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe we need ICASA to, if SABC speaks about its interim financial measures, this issue of mass carry being resolved is urgent. And I think that if, without involving yourselves in the commercials, MultiChoice says there's an arrangement that persists, they can continue with that, there's no vacuum. Not happy with the arrangement that persists. So could we get guidance from ICASA on this matter? Not for you to respond now, Chair. Okay. Colleagues, honorable members, thank you. Thank you very much for your engagement. Let me thank yourselves from MultiChoice, from Primedia CEO. It's nice to see you again. We truly do appreciate the manner in which you've approached these engagements with us, and we look forward to having a lot more with you in future. Again, let me apologize to members of staff, some who may have joined after. We apologize the first time that we ran late on today's program, but we, as a committee, were committed to ensure that this engagement with staff happens. We do feel, and firstly, I think it's important that as a committee, we applaud you. If you were ESCOM, we would say for keeping the lights on. In your case, I think it's said we applaud you that you ensured that the show goes on. It's been a difficult couple of years from the SABC. You are also emerging from a Section 189 process where many of your colleagues would have been retrenched. You've had instability in some instances in your board, in your executive leadership. You've had a parliamentary inquiry that you've had to live through, and I know that there are still scars that are carried by some in the organization from that process. So we thought as a committee it would be truly find a way to say it would be truly a misnomer, if we did not come and touch base with yourselves and check how things could have engaged the unions. We had to choose between speaking to the staff and speaking to the unions, and we said we would wish to engage with the unions. Sometime last year, we did receive presentations from the Communications Workers Union. No, they didn't present. They came, they fought in the meeting, and they left. Then we had Bemau, who presented on behalf of staff here at the SABC. And they raised a number of issues, a lot of them which at that point I think the executive committed to deal with, especially on issues of salary increases that had not been paid at that point. I do not want to lead the staff. I think that we are truly here just to engage. You may wonder that when this portfolio committee is here, so we've seen them come and go. I do want to make a commitment that in the 7th administration, this particular point, a decision to be an activist committee, it's taken a decision to be an interventionist committee. So we don't just come here, listen and pretend none of these things have ever happened. In our oversight report, we make very pointed recommendations to government in terms of the issues that they need to deal with. So this engagement then is part and parcel of those issues. CEO, I don't see the CEO. CEO, these are your people. I don't know if you have one or two words you want to say before we open the engagement. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Firstly, I must apologize for keeping you all waiting. Our program ran over this morning. You can imagine it was quite a packed program, but I must also just express my gratitude for your patience in waiting, because I think this engagement with the portfolio committee is very critical, and this is a great opportunity for the employees' voices to be heard. What management won't be in the room, the board will also exit the room. That's everybody an opportunity to, because sometimes when your managers are sitting next to you, you might not be able to express free speech, but it's an opportunity for you to engage with the portfolio committee on this very critical oversight visit. So please engage, and we are looking forward to receive the feedback from the portfolio committee. Thank you.
No, it's fine. You can.
Not for the executives, but it's an open meeting.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, because my people almost wanted to cut the.
No, it's fine. Colleagues, if we can settle down. as Ms. Patiswa leaves, esteemed staff members of the SABC, okay, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. We have not come to you with an agenda. It happens to us so many times that, you know, when we meet with some of you in the corridors or on interviews or anywhere else, issues are usually raised with us one-on-one. And as a committee, we obviously then try to get to the bottom of those issues, and it's easy to do so when you're a single member dealing with issues. So we thought that with the committee here, it would be to get first-hand information from yourselves. We constantly go up and congratulate the leadership, we congratulate yourselves, because we know that it's not an easy period in the SABC. But I don't think we have real insight into some of the issues that you may be facing at coalface. And that's why we thought let us do this in this format. I did indicate that we asked for staff, not for unions, but I'm not sure if amongst yourselves you also decided that you were just going to come and speak one by one, or if there's anybody that you thought would also be raising some of the points that you wanted to raise. I also want to make a point, colleagues, that we've had incidences before, the entity where we had a victim member after speaking to the committee, and it would be, I think it would be an understatement to say that the committee fire on that entity. So as you would when you appear in Parliament, I think you are in a protected space, and we would just love to hear from yourselves in terms of the issues. Does anyone want to break the ice? I was going to
appeal is that can the committee support the board to pushing for a better outcome on the funding model of the SABC. It has been many years that even staff members have made presentations in terms of
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and the committee. My name is Johan van Rooyen, and I look after strategy for the 19 SABC radio stations. I think I would like to agree with Sophie on this one. The funding after Section 189, going through COVID, what we had to go through to keep the
in there. So I think this, and I think I am welcoming more staff members to engage us and tell us so that we can be able to assist where we can. Chairperson, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, there's an English proverb that says that a chain is as strong as the weakest link. And I think we witnessed when the SABC appeared before us in last very impressed. Maybe we should give them a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Those two speakers spoke about the passion, and I think that is the greatest asset. Chairperson, when we reflect on the key and the secret to the turnaround if I understood it correctly, salespeople not being paid what is due to them, if that's what I understood. We understood that one of the crucial interventions in the financials that was presented to us was the increase in other income, in sales income. And I think it's an area of concern that we note, and we they must play to their strength, and that's selling, I think. So that's crucial. For me, Chairperson, what's important is we have a journey in SABC. We have to secure the funding, and I think the portfolio committee is committed to working day and night to try and solicit and get this funding. That there must be there must be given expression. Employees must have the ability to express themselves, to be heard, to ventilate what their concerns are. And I think if we are able to do that,
brave submissions, just the fact that not everybody else spoke, speaks to the courage that is needed to speak up. I have to say that part of what occurred to me when we started getting these submissions from yourselves, I used to lead an organization where we had a massive retrenchment exercise. In fact, I came in as a result of the retrenchment. The entire previous leadership had been retrenched. One of the strongest lessons I learned there for the first time in my life was that retrenchment can sometimes be harder on the people who stay than on those who leave. At least for those who leave, their situation is clear. And in many instances, they might even have got a handsome package to be able to plan the next part of their lives. But if you stay behind, the uncertainty, you have to do a lot of work. You have to do that because there have been cuts in numbers. You don't know whether you'll still have a job the next day. It can be a traumatic experience. I just want to acknowledge that trauma that you express, and just that the discomfort and actually sometimes pain, emotional, even physical pain of not of being in a situation like that, and where you keep waiting for normalcy to prevail, but actually it never really does. So you definitely have my understanding. This, but the two things that I would say. One is that it is their primary reason for these in-person site visits, these oversight visits, that we actually even get the opportunity to talk to the staff. That happened in Cape Town, and to their defense, when they are there, they have other priorities, or they have other pressing priorities, such as the funding model, etc., etc. And issues of staff, perhaps well-being, might not be seen as sufficient, or because we have limited time with them. But I just want to make it, to put the other spotlight on this, that it might just be that there really is very limited time in the context of the portfolio committee meeting for them to raise all of the issues. But we will definitely take up the issues that we've picked up here, take them up with them, and make sure that to the extent that we are able, we get them addressed. Prazwai says, he will call us, and how does he know some of us? The Honorable Potani says, we will block you. We will. I got the Prazwai, but then the chair says we'll come back to you sooner than what will be done before you can hound us. Thank you, Chair.
I think to really welcome the engagement, because as we sit in Parliament, we see that there are people that represent you in terms of the board, but we do not see the hands and feet that keep the SABC moving. So I know this is not even a fraction of the staff complement of the SABC, but your presence here means you appreciated us enough as your elected public representative to make time at this late time of the evening. And to reiterate Chair's apology to yourself, it wasn't anything malicious, it was just a packed portfolio committee engagement day today. So really appreciate you staying on. Chair, I think perhaps it's just as a follow-up question to Ausneo or Aus Julia. You talk about meeting your targets, but not getting any incentives. Do you not have contracts in place that you can then go back to your employer and say, you promise that if I sell this for 10 rands, my incentive, my commission would be this? How do you get to a point where you are going on your KPAs, but it is not rewarded? Where is the gap in that? Because and for me, it speaks to an issue of management and an issue of contract management. So I would just like clarity through you, Chairperson. And Chair, I think, again, when we receive the presentations from the board in the portfolio committee meeting, it's always high level. We don't get down to the nitty-gritties of the issues that Aus Julia is having, that Johan is having. It's issues of things are moving, perhaps should take responsibility, because we will ask about the morale. And I know I'm always asking about the morale, but we never have an opportunity to see the faces. We never have an opportunity to hear the voices of the people that have issues with SABC as their employer. So for me, it says to the portfolio committee, we must also, as we engage with the SABC, to the HR issues, considering that there's men and women behind those names that we see, behind the numbers that we see in terms of employees. And I love what one member said, who said, they are still here because of loyalty. The SABC, being the public broadcaster, it becomes a training ground. So for you to have received the training that you have received working in the SABC over the years, and to still be here when there is a demand for your skills, says that you are really committed. We will also do our best as Parliament, as the Portfolio Committee, to ensure that we create an environment where you are able to have engagement with us going forward, and also we are able to, through the chairperson, give feedback to the executive and the management to what you have spoken about. Perhaps as Osnewa, I see she already has a mic, comes in to answer. Is the employee wellness program, does the SABC have a functional employee wellness program, feeling the benefits of such a program, considering the things that we have heard this afternoon?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, thank you for this opportunity and to happen. I wish this could always be the case, where when we meet the executive, we also meet the staff. When we're in the committees, we don't get such issues. I don't know whether I should address my colleague there as Comrade Mbeje or say staff as a SABC, I don't know. But indeed, you voted for us. But what I like about that is that this committee, there's one thing I like about it. When I came in as the first time in Parliament, I had questions about, am I going to do the very same thing that people have been doing for the past 10 or many years in the committees and go home? But being led by you, Chair, you gave us a mandate that this committee should deliver. So I ask Ukuti, Chair, with this starting to happen here, can it be possible that from now on we open a certain window for these people to have communication with us, maybe find a way to deliver letters or something to us? Because this is being brave, to be honest with you. Speaking here is being brave. Some of them might be in trouble for saying certain things. So as I appreciate this, Chair, I think let's work on the cries that we hear. We hear our people crying with. Another thing I wanted to ask, as Comrade Bodlane has asked, is that what is the engagement between the employee in terms of the salesperson? Is there an agreement of a certain commission you get when you sell certain airtime or what? I would like to know that, if possible in writing, because we have a mandate to deliver people. So our mandate is to make sure SABC doesn't collapse. And if it doesn't collapse, it must bring back imisebenzi. Chair, you go to any entities, any big companies, the leaders of those companies, all of them are coming from SABC. The content providers, all of them are coming from SABC. How is it possible that SABC is failing to get content, and beautiful content, if the people that are driving outside there are coming from SABC? There is a problem there, the Chair. So I think we should attend to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, first of all, we want to thank you, the staff that you are working with, because this kind of engagement, actually, it helps us to understand that depth of the crisis that are in SABC and the challenge that the staff are facing in SABC. Ubaba Mbeche mayikhuluma Ubaba Mbeche mayikhuluma, it touched me because I know how hard is doing his work and the rest of the staff. So now I think Honorable Chairperson, if they can actually write letters or I don't know, as a petition to you, Honorable Chairperson, so and then they can give the full information and the challenge that they are facing in the SABC, so that whatever they say today, we have a record of it, and when we engage with the SABC, we know what the staff of SABC are saying. Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. If I may. Chair, I was actually just boiling in me. I'm very angry with what I've heard right now, because really being given sugar-coated presentations, I want to say we were lied to. I kept asking, and not once, not twice, content is an issue. And they defended that position. They told us they've got content here and there, etc. I asked again, Primedia was here. I said, what is the SAB getting out of this whole relationship? We got nothing. The in-committee that we went to gave us nothing. For me, there was nothing that we should have allowed the public to see. There were no numbers presented, no we could take back that really we must point out to say it's an issue for SABC. The only thing that they're crying about, which I agree with, is the funding model. And I disagree with my colleagues here. If we want to say we want a wellness program, let's understand what HR is doing. You don't need a wellness program. We're in government. The employees are telling you the issues they've been facing for 16 years, 15 years. Your minister, speaker, chairperson, the speaker, the deputy president, and your minister, what we should be telling them is that we're in government of national unity, those that are, we're going to talk to them because we've heard from the people the impact of the delay. We don't need an HR wellness program. We're not here to cancel these people. We're here to solve a problem. And if we are not going to be practical, we're going to be politicians on this issue, I have a serious problem. We cannot live here giving dramatic speeches. It's your minister that has raised objections. Now you understand better. I'm expecting to say I'm going to go and engage them. It's the deputy president that is really looking at this thing and the speaker. I'm expecting to say I'm going to engage with them. We're in opposition. We're going to toy. And I'm raising this because I'm not in government. And it's my duty to make sure that I speak the truth and tell you the raw as it is, because this is unacceptable, Chairperson. Totally, the CEO and the board, they lied to us, they gave us sugar-coated presentation, we wasted our time, we did not resolve anything to do with SABC today. Nothing. I can't even tell why we were here today. We didn't resolve anything. Because I really don't want to, let me leave it here. I'm really angry. You can see I'm boiling. Because things like this, they make, this is why we're in politics. Not because we want to politically correct, but because we want to come and solve real issues. And these are real issues. These are people's lives that we're playing with. These are people that are passionate about their jobs. Some of them are Sophie and that they could be anywhere in the world doing this job, but they're here because of the passion for the land. We have a moral obligation, ethical obligation as this committee to take these issues up with agency and ensure that we get answers that will satisfy them. Not HR wellness program. What are they going to do with it? Come on, man.
Hey. Chairperson, I don't know what. The only thing I can do is speak for myself and speak for my experience today. Firstly, when I heard staff is coming to test, I immediately psychologically prepared myself. That I'm going to hear complaints from here to there. I'm going to hear what this one is doing, what that one is doing. But I'm so inspired. Everyone that spoke stood up and did not speak about anything that I would want to think is house business. You spoke about your commitment to make this thing right. And I'm inspired by that. And if we talk about good content, maybe Brazil, why we should put him, we'll make money, because when we watch him, we don't see he has these problems that he's a very good actor. We'll make a lot of. But on a serious note, my experience today, I've learned about the real issues with the SABC. It's organizational, and it's affecting you, and it's affecting the executive leadership. You cannot isolate it. I am shocked that from our side as government, and I'm in the GNU, and all I'll say about the GNU is I have to do something because there's no budget. That's all I can say. Because the truth of the matter is, I sit and I'm thinking, if I was in your shoes, you are the reason why I'm looking this handsome, right? Come on, you can agree now. What is the problem? So, we have been brought here today, and it's because of what you do. And the way our government system works is that it is therefore now our responsibility to show you value for what you do so that we are able to do what we do. And so, Chair, can describe what I think the solution is. Because when I listened here, I'm going to be a liar if I say I also believe it was just lies. The presentations that I saw, I didn't know. SABC, we took from this about, what am I saying? What should maintain the chair when you take off your cap? Where for the what is when we and let's we can amount of I think problems. Thank you.
Well, I see the problem. ABC is closed. I see respond. So I've laid in.
My model, how you need to guard it, put so much controllers, virtual model. Doing I'm not yet. Yes, that will need how that fiscus finally it to make this in what happened.
The lady introduce yourself.
Themselves, the funding, I think, so big bosses, so you need all the they are they need when I 31st is in the account responsibility as all our colleagues did sign, but in order from Parliament in terms of the not privy the DSTV all said and done. Ladies and gentlemen, because you can't SABC for 200 episodes market. They have 2 ports on to SABC and sell any buy of deals as workers problem. Thank you.
started attending to this issue, and then we were increasing an adjustment of what we do, because our job is unique. You cannot find people like us, because it means you must have understood the industry and know how to cost little elements up to big ones. And so within the same process of trying to find a balance with HR and our management, we also found out that our other, in the same scale code, in the same department, 2 of our colleagues got an increase. And that on its own, it shows that it is possible, whether it's a counter offer, where it is possible then for the same beast to do something for us, because we also had offers out there, but we kept on rejecting them because we know we can make a difference here. It is painful to experience, and we know we are saving money in millions in my department because of our skill and our art. And when you get to then fill the post, you fill them with interns, and you fill them with junior people who actually also deplete what you do not have to give anymore. And then you have to train independent contractors, and when you say something about that, and then you are coerced to resign and rather take a package so that you can come back as an independent contractor. That is not fair. And I do believe that the SABC has what it takes to actually be the giant that it always had been, that we believed in it. And should there be anyone, we should actually also just see this place. What does this actual venue itself, for me, I don't like talking about things that are big. We start in small things to succeed. And this auditorium, what else can it be used at? That's how I look at life. And so we build up and go to bigger things and billions that we are overseeing. But is there a risk for me to oversee budgets such as that? And you are always sitting at a place where a producer will give you a Jojo in a brown envelope. So it is so painful. If you were able to then look into our situation, you would also see what that it means for a land producer work that we are doing for us for 102 projects. So our problems are painful, because also for me, there was a sacrificial lamb, a life was lost. Of course, we can't say for sure she miscarried because of this, but me and her, we were in hospital. More than, I've never been in hospital in my entire life, but I have been now.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. And I'm really sorry for what you've gone through. Thank you for sharing with us. Ma'am?
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the opportunity to engage you. Mine is not so...
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Zonke Smith. Mine is probably an elephant in the room type of thing, but we are hearing colleagues talk about Primedia, sales, and CEO of Primedia is former chair of SABC. It's painful, because in my head, you're asking yourself, were these contracts probably done in sight of one day I will land there and this will work out to my benefit? And then you blame staff for not producing what they're supposed to do. Meantime, it's things that were set in place to collapse the SABC. I don't know whether that's the intention, to collapse the SABC to the benefit of the opposition. And then they come here and they say, no, we are not a competition to the SABC, we are competition to the SABC. Meantime, these things were set in place a long time ago. So, Mina, my challenge to you, can you find out when these things were set in place? Right now, they said that the mass carry was being discussed in 2020 or 22. Is it, that's the time when the chair was here. So how is it possible that it was difficult to set those things in place, but those things are the very same things that are benefiting the other companies? How is it possible? So I'm challenging you, the committee, to go and find out. These people here, they're diehard SABC personnel. They do everything for the SABC, despite the fact that the lifts are not working, you know, there's a lot of stuff that is not happening. They come in, day out. They sacrifice themselves to making sure that the SABC is a success. But if you have got elements like that cripple you, it's difficult to move forward. My second thing is that the SABC is the only broadcaster in South Africa, probably on the continent, that has footprint in all provinces. How are we reviving those regional offices to make sure that in order for you to be on air, you don't necessarily have to come to Joburg? Productions can come out of the provinces. Those provinces can be given a lifeline to revive the studios, revive the personnel, because we are talking on the context of Joburg. Meantime, we've got colleagues, I don't know whether they're watching online, we've got colleagues in Eastern Cape, Bloemfontein. That's where the language representation happens. But it's not happening effectively and efficiently because we're not focusing on there. And in order for someone in the regions to make their mark as a journalist, they have to come to Joburg eventually. If they want to be an on-air talent, they have to come to Joburg. And that's where we lose talent. And the issue of that, with that creating content, together with the people, content creators from the regions, not to necessarily flood them to Joburg, saying that you can shine and be bright in your corner in the Eastern Cape. You can shine and be bright in your corner in Mpumalanga, wherever it is, and bring stuff that will benefit the SABC. We can use things like that to motivate even businesses in those regions to advertise for lesser rates if the SABC were to have such platforms. And thirdly, the issue of SABC studios that are derelict, Henley, you know. Meantime, we've got outside broadcasters building empires at the expense of the SABC because there's no clause on those contracts that compels content producers to first look at the SABC studios. We are pumping money into these studios. I know that for this one I might get flagged. We are pumping money that we don't have into these outside broadcasters that we could be using to refurbish our own facilities and compare productions outside that you are going to have a studio production. This production needs a studio setup. We are giving you this contract provided that you use SABC studios, provided that you use SABC staff. We've got staff, some of them, they're not doing anything because there's nothing happening in the studios. But outside, broadcasters, they're flourishing. People are buying buildings, but the SABC can't even afford to fix their own lifts. But people outside, they've got beautiful things. And lastly, please, if the portfolio committee can assist in models that can send our kids to school. We used to have a program that used to fund our kids at university level. It's gone. SABC is doing wonders in terms of giving out bursaries. Like this past year, we gave over 50 bursaries. It's a beautiful initiative. I'm one of the beneficiaries of that initiative where I was given a bursary by the SABC. The leadership that you've got is good leadership. They're willing to hear sometimes, they're willing to hear, but we are asking that on your level, please, go after the guys. You mentioned that we were given a bailout. What happened to that bailout? You know, because Tina, we don't know. Yes, we know, but okay, maybe we got increases here and there, maybe it didn't work out, but the guys that were here previously, please can you check when were these contracts signed? Because it's disingenuous for me, I was really hurt.
I have to stop you, you know. Thank you so much. There was another hand. Please don't confuse me. I'm not taking new hands now. We've gone way over time. Yes, ma'am, you were the second hand.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisedi. For me, it's about resources. So I'm a digital specialist. I'm using a MacBook, a 2015 version. And as a creative, as a result, I've opted to work on cloud because working directly on my PC, it collapses every second. And at times you have to be in front of your computer for over 30 minutes for it to boot. And it's painful because, you know, even when you go to 22nd floor, BIT, you get there to ask for help. You find them piecing around parts from old machines, trying to get a computer working for the next colleague. Studios as well. You go to our studio in the foyer studio for year 2000. Sometimes it's not even comfortable for us to host clients there because you're thinking it's not in a condition where then you can really host the staff outside clients. You look at, we have facilities like TVOB where we stream content, and you have a team that comes over to stream your content, and when you send overlays to be used for production, then they will tell you that they don't have a computer to use to get that content up. So resources are also one of the challenges that we face with, and like Neo and Dr. Johan has alluded, that we are passionate about what we are doing. That's why we keep on pushing, we improvise to get things done. As a result, you end up using Microsoft PowerPoint to create posters because you can't get your Adobe running on your machine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last hand was, I think that, the lady in the corner.
Thank you, Chair, and and thank you for the opportunity to engage with us. I think our problems as colleagues, even though we work in different divisions, are more or less the same. First of all, yes, we do have good leadership, but some of our leadership is failing us. For instance, you have managers where, as colleagues, when you express your feelings and your views, you simply get told that just be grateful that you still have a job. You know, so how do we then work in conditions like that, and how do we then expect staff to perform at their highest ability when you are told that? Secondly, is the point of retaining talent. People leave because they are not recognized for the hard work and the dedication they do have for the organization. We have very fit and proper people at the SABC. But as soon as they get an opportunity outside, they leave because of the treatment and the lack of leadership. And also, it's, we also find ourselves sometimes in limbo of what actually is happening in our own organization. We don't know, only for the fact that we don't have money. There are no strategies that are shared with us. We just come in, we work, but we don't know. And we can't really input when there's not really a strategy in place in our divisions that we need to follow and see what can we do. So we kind of feel like we are not working together with our leaders. It's like the leadership and then there's the staff. As the leadership, you will listen to us because we are your leadership. We tell you what to do, and if you are not happy, you can just leave, and you are lucky that you have a job. So that's the problem, and one of the biggest issues that the colleagues at the SABC we are facing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you. When Honorable Alicia spoke, she says we are here to listen. And I know these honorable members, they are going to give you solutions. And I don't want them to do that because I need them to internalize what you are saying so that when we put together our recommendations, it's based on what we have heard today. I don't think that it would be correct for us to give you glib answers to the issues because we are also engaging with these issues for the very first time. I think I would be correct, though, if on behalf of the committee, I think I also just expressed our sincere apology for what you have gone through. not only as staff members, but I think also as an organization. You see, now you were starting to warm up and talk to us, and we were running out of time. But because the problems we are confronting are so hard, we've actually done something which I think is even more painful than anything else. We've turned SABC from what Amanda, I think it was Amanda, who called it the giant it had always been, to an organization that's going around with a begging bowl. You have an SABC that is speaking to the likes of Primedia, Netflix. I think the CEO was saying there's no bank, no nothing that they have not approached with the intention to do this. And that is wrong, because you sitting here as a staff member is a demonstration of the resilience of this organization, but you should not have to be resilient all the time. I think there has to come a time where they like to say that even God takes you from his strongest soldiers lest you've been there. I am convinced that the problems we face not only in the SABC but elsewhere are a problem of a failure of leadership and will. I don't know how young I was, how old I was the first time I first heard this thing of funding the public mandate of the SABC. I'm sure I was not even 18 years old then. Spoken about the same thing over and over again, and I'm telling you, it's a lack of political will to get this thing done. DG Shelembe, who is responsible for entity oversight in the department, is here. I can tell you, the problem is not the Department of Communication. That department goes out of its way to seek to assist the SABC. The problem, and we must say it here and now, is the National Treasury. We can run around in circles, we can speak English, we can do whatever. If the National Treasury had come to the party on issues of a portion of government appropriation for the public mandate, which was raised, I'm sure as far back as 1994, we would not be here. And we are here. Now, when you are talking, you said to us that you want us to support you, right? And that we will. But you are the SABC, right? You are the SABC. You also have a voice in addition to our voices. In fact, you amplify the voices, that you are able to raise some of these things around bold and intentional action on the part of government. We are going to push. We need you to push as well, where you can. I like what was raised by the lady who I had to stop, Uzonke. You must be intentional in what you are doing. The example that she raises, we take our money, and this is not just an SABC problem. We take our money, we fund other people who either compete with us or they find ways where they become stronger than us. You have leverage, you have the contract that they want. You know, I don't know if it happens in South Africa, so I don't want to say something wrong, but the Chinese, when they give you their money, they follow their money. So if they give you money to build a bridge, they are going to come here with their own people, their own materials, their own whatever, because it is their money. You have leverage. Whatever little budget you have, you do have leverage. You must be intentional. I don't know. I have a serious problem with people who are trying to destroy these state institutions. And I think some of the decisions that we take in a very laissez-faire manner are exactly that, destroying strategic state institutions. So I think the members have heard what has been said here. Some of it is very difficult, and I think also quite heavy emotionally. And once again, to reiterate our sincere condolences, Amanda, to your colleague for the loss that she would have suffered. But we are asking you to work with us. We are asking you to trust our commitment to doing what we can when we play our mandate over the executive. I think Ndatu Shelembe Uivil, I suspect also speaking to you puts a human face to things that we are constantly theorizing. So we truly appreciate that. I'm tempted, because we are closing and leaving the SABC, I'm tempted to give 30 seconds, and I have a timer, 30 seconds, to each member just to make very, very short observations, and then we will close this session at this point as I open my stopwatch. Where do we start? I think we should start with Honorable Souls this time.
Thank you, Chair. Challenge accepted.
Thank you. Honorable Akubela.
Thank you, Chair. I think the employees actually gave us a turnaround strategy that we will interrogate with the leadership and see if they can incorporate some of these ideas. Two, we will be calling for the investigation of this Primedia deal and the reversal of it if it has no value to this organization. I think that has come up very, very sharply. We can't sell our birthright, our IP and everything and leave our people in desolation. I'll pause here, Chair.
Thank you, Madam. Honorable Stole.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. We hear you. We hear your concern.
Thank you, Honorable Stole. Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you very much for telling us, thinking us in. I think we promise that we will work on this thing urgently, so thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Podlani.
And what we have heard here today really enriches it will enrich how we engage the SABC going forward. So thank you, Raleboch.
Thank you, Honorable Vilakazi.
Thank you very much to you, Chair. Thank you to the staff of the SABC for trusting us with this information that you've given us. And as my colleagues have said, we'll certainly do the best that we can to ensure that we honor it, and we do the best that we can to respond to the best of our abilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Malisha.
Thank you, Chairperson. I want to commend you for setting up this type of arrangement to give our people like time to engage us, and I think it can be difficult for us as lawmakers to assist the SABC with everything that we heard today. It can be that we can come with the solutions that will be in favor of the SABC, and I think I want to agree with the proposition that we should open the lines of communication. So whoever, as members of the staff, who want to get hold of us and communicate certain things with us and other things with us that didn't come up here, we should probably do that, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honorable members. You see, very well-trained parliamentarians. When they speak in parliament, they've got those timers there, so they already know what 30 seconds feels like. No, but thank you, honorable members. And once again, thank you to all of you. I can promise you this is not the last you will be seeing of us, and we look forward to engaging, I think, in even happier times. So thank you, and I hereby adjourn the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you.